Hi everyone, my name is Kate Mall, and today I'll be discussing biases within the media and how biases in the media can skew people's political opinions. I covered bias by omission and spin bias. Spin bias is when media outlets use choice words to spin the idea of something or to create emotions behind a topic. They can use words or phrases, some words being serious, major, critical, offend, offensive, and phrases that have emotional meaning behind them to make people have a certain opinion on the topic. Bias by omission is when media outlets choose not to cover certain stories to stray away from the alternate point of view in order to sway people's opinions. For example, Fox News and CNN are one of the two biggest news channels in America, and they both use bias by omission and spin bias daily, every day. I looked at both articles from CNN and Fox News covering the recent deportations in America, and kind of compare how both of the articles use bias by omission and spin bias. Starting with Fox News, Bill Milligan and Stephen Soros wrote, "In the first days of the Trump administration, ICE has made more than 460 arrests of illegal immigrants, including those with criminal histories that include sexual assault, domestic violence, and drugs and weapon crime." Already looking at that, we can see that there is spin bias within there, using words or phrases to persuade people that something is good or bad. Words in that article, such as criminal, critical, dangerous, sexual assault, crime, all make people form an opinion that these deportations are necessary because illegal immigrants bring in crime, bring in sexual assault. So it was purposeful for Fox News to write it in such a way to give a negative opinion on illegal immigrants coming into America. This pushes the agenda that these deportations are necessary because illegal immigrants don't bring any good into the country. That was Fox News's intention by using spin bias. Now, CNN also wrote an article covering the deportations. Priscilla Alvarez wrote, "President Donald Trump kicked off his second term in office with an ambitious immigration agenda, promising to deport millions of undocumented immigrants and seal off the U.S. southern border. Since then, Trump administration officials have swiftly moved up to strip temporary protections for migrants and delegate more authority to federal and state partners." We can already see that there is spin bias in that. Priscilla Alvarez used choice words and phrases. One of those phrases being, "Trump kicked off his second term." That already suggests that Trump is not fit to make these decisions, that America didn't want him there when he ran the second time, and it already gives it's already an opinion implemented into that statement itself to try and make people feel a certain way about Trump and the deportations. She then uses another phrase, ambitious immigration agenda, to make people feel a certain way about the deportations. Now, there is also bias by omission in both of these articles and both of these news channels in general. For example, bias by omission is when media outlets choose to not cover an alternate point of view. Fox News is right-leaning and CNN is left-leaning. Fox News is going to focus more on, say that the presidential election was happening, Fox News is going to try and cover the positives of the Republican candidate and stray away from talking about the negative of that presidential candidate that is affiliated with their party, while CNN is left-leaning and is going to talk about the positives of their Democratic candidate presidential candidate and stray away from the negative media of that presidential candidate. The best way to balance it out would be to possibly flip back and forth between news channels. Don't shut out news channels just because you don't like the information that you're getting. Take in lots of information, make your own opinions that are well formed, and try and take in unbiased information, which brings up the topic of how biased really is media on the daily. About 50% of Americans agree that media is biased. That is provided by the Knight Foundation Gallup polls. But 70% of Americans agree that media is an essential in order to have democracy within the United States. A little bit over half of the population also agrees that the media that they are personally taking in is biased, and they acknowledge that. So this is something that people are acknowledging. We know it's biased, but it follows our opinions, and we like to stay up to date with things that follow our own opinions. So this is an issue when it comes to when voting comes around. How are people supposed to make well-rounded decisions about who they're going to vote for if media is so biased? How are you going to know? How are you going to differentiate what you think is right and wrong if you're only taking in one opinion-based news channel and not flipping through articles, watching other news channels, educating yourself more, and trying to take on alternative point of views, so maybe you can challenge yourself to feel differently about something to really see if that is what you believe in. News media that chooses to cover topics that affiliate with their party can be considered opinion statements presented as facts, which occurs when media interjects their own opinions or beliefs. The severity of biases in the media hinder American citizens from pure facts. Instead, it is often that people of the United States derive their political knowledge based on the biases of media. Thank you.